Alright, welcome back again to another video. This time, um, it's called Politics and Populism, and um, it's about the 2016 presidential election, and populism and stuff. So, let's see. I'm not really sure what might go into this video here. It'll be interesting.
I was elected to the Parliament of
Wait, hold
Canada
on.
7 times, 3 times as Prime Minister. I did not expect Donald Trump to be elected President of the United States. But unlike most observers, I did think it was at least possible. Why?
So I guess I mean, this guy's, I don't know who Stephen Harper is, so I'm just gonna refrain from commenting on him. I'm assuming he's a right wing dude. I don't know if he's done like really crazy shit or something. I have no idea, but I'm just gonna focus on the American part of this video, I'm assuming, because I know a lot more about that.
Why? Because I sensed, as Mr. Trump surely did, that the political landscape had shifted. The underlying issue is this. Over the last few decades, thanks to globalization, 1 billion people, mostly in the emerging markets of Asia, have lifted themselves out of poverty. This, of course, is a good thing.
Yeah, interesting fact about the way that the world has decreased in poverty over the last 40 years is that the majority of that has happened in China. Um, so pretty much if you remove China, it's pretty much the same amount of people have remained in poverty 40 years ago as do now. So very interesting fact about how capitalism, it doesn't apparently seem to do all that much for that.
Yet in many Western countries, the incomes of working people have stagnated or even declined over the same period.
Yeah, because corporations have vested interest in not raising the wages of their workers, and so they petition against wage increases. The wage is always lower in Republican states. I don't think people were motivated. I guarantee you most Trump supporters probably don't support the minimum wage going up.
In short, many Americans voted for Donald Trump because the global economy has not been working for them. We can pretend that this is a false perception.
And yeah, that's true that that's why people voted for him, but he didn't really act in that way when actually elected. But we'll hold off on that until we see if he makes any comments on that kind of thing.
We can keep trying to convince people that they misunderstand their own lives, or we can try to understand what they are saying and offer some solutions.
Like Bernie Sanders and the left wing does, but like actually more substantively and effectively than people like Donald Trump.
I prefer the latter approach. Let me begin with this. In our contemporary world, there are, as British journalist David Goodhart describes it, those who can live anywhere and those who live somewhere. Imagine you work for an international bank, computer company, or consulting firm. You can wake up in New York, London, or Singapore and feel at home. Your work is not threatened by import competition or technological dislocation. You vocally support all international trade agreements and high levels of immigration. You're one of those who can live anywhere. There are a lot of those people, but there are a lot more completely unlike them.
I mean, trade is kind of a complicated topic that I don't want to dive into entirely because I don't know. I just feel like explanations of how the trade deals go together would be a lot, especially since it's not my strongest area of expertise. But immigration isn't as bad for the average person as I think they're making it out to be.
Let's say you're a factory worker, small business person, or in retail sales. Your work has been disrupted by outsourcing, cheap imports, and technological change. Your children attend the local school,
Automation wouldn't be as problematic in a socialist society than a capitalist one, but
and your aging parents live nearby. Your social life is connected to a local church, sports team, or community group. If things go badly at your company, or if policy choices by politicians turn out to be wrong, you can't just shift your life to somewhere else. Like it or not, you depend on the economic policies of your national or state government.
which is ironic because Trump's tariffs hurt farmers and people in the Midwest who voted for him.
When it doesn't come through for you, you're not happy. And when it ignores you entirely, you
I
get
think it was like
angry.
90,000 jobs
It's
in
easy
Iowa
for
alone
anywheres
he
to dismiss
cost.
these concerns, but the anywhere's faith in global solutions and multinational political bodies is founded more on fantasy than fact. The fact is, the critical functions of laws and regulations and monetary and fiscal stability, among other things, are provided by nations, not global institutions. The nation, with all its flaws, is a concrete reality. The global community is little more than a concept. Yet it is the anywheres, with their faith in global
I mean, the global community is more than a concept like the UN and things. It's just that the UN doesn't have the ability to enforce things that get decided in it the same way that like countries can to themselves.
globalization, not the somewheres, who have dominated the politics of almost every advanced country. That is, until now.
Like, I don't really necessarily defend the anywheres because I'm assuming this is basically like the elites versus whoever, and obviously left wing people are not really fans of the elites either. But Trump isn't the one to carry out the populist agenda, and the Republicans aren't either. They're not exactly like Republican populists, air quotes, like Josh Hawley from Missouri or whatever. Like he says, "Oh, I'm all for the working class and blah blah blah," but he'll never let you unionize. He'll never vote to raise your wages. Like he's voted against all of those things, so it's not like he is the one. Like it's not like the populism in the right wing is the thing that's going to actually provide tangible benefits for the working class in any way.
This sea change is not limited to the United States. The same dynamics, anywhere elites versus somewhere populace, is playing out across the
It's actually somewhat interesting. I mean, he's kind of so. I'm assuming the anywheres in America are supposed to be emblematic of the Democratic Party, and the somewheres are like the Republican Party. And while it's accurate that I think that many of like the like center left like political parties in places like Europe and Brazil and America and stuff are I don't know about China. I don't know about this playing out in China, but that's okay. In places like that or Russia, but in places like those that the center left parties aren't very good at addressing people. But I don't think that the second part of the equation is accurate in that I don't think that the right wing is the one to address it. I think it's the left and not just like the moderate center left.
Western world. These populists, as I've tried to show, are not the ignorant and misguided deplorables depicted in mainstream media.
See, this is what I
They
mean.
are
They're going right after like Hillary. And Hillary is the problem. She's really bad at actually helping people, but the solution is not Donald Trump.
our family, friends, and neighbors. The populists represent, by definition, the interests of ordinary people.
Yeah.
And in a democratic system, the people are supposed to be our customers. So, how then
Not
can we best serve
customers,
them? I propose an approach I
constituents.
call populist conservatism. Grounding ourselves in tried and true conservative values, we must speak to the issues that concern the somewheres and their families.
See, I don't think that populist conservatism really works because conservatives across America and usually in other countries as well typically tend to be very focused on helping wealthier people. Like they don't really have policies that benefit the working class in any way. Like you can speak to their concerns, but you're not actually solving any of their concerns. Like what has Donald Trump done for working people besides, I guess, let them die to COVID,
Those of ordinary people, not elites. Those
which is
issues
good,
include market
but
economics, trade, globalization, and immigration.
but
In addressing
see,
these issues,
like immigrate. See, so I the rhetoric is somewhat accurate for this from the right wing because it's kind of like left wing populism, like the Bernie Sanders esque stuff. But what they're actually doing and what and stuff is the problem. And what I mean by that is that like immigration and look, immigration isn't really something that the left wing is going to focus on. And I think immigration is probably a heavy focus of conservative populism because conservative populism tends to kind of stray towards authoritarian stuff.
Issues conservatives should remain pro free market, pro trade, pro globalization, and pro immigration. Going in a completely opposite direction in any of these areas is a mistake. But being pro market does not mean that all regulations should be dismantled or that government should never intervene to protect workers. Being pro trade does not imply that every trade agreement is a good one. Being pro globalization should not entail abdicating loyalty or responsibility to our country and our local communities. And being pro immigration should never mean sanctioning illegal immigration, erasing our borders, or ignoring the interests of our citizens.
Um, that was I- that okay. I don't know what that. Okay, okay.
I call this
That
populist
was quite the
conservatism,
graphic.
but it's really just conservatism. Conservatism is about seeing the world as it is.
Mm, Again, none of this stuff actually happens. Like you talk a big game, and even well, you talk a big game, but you still talk a game full of flaws usually. At least in America. Again, like I'm comparing this to American ones, like American right wing populism, borderline fascism is not pro immigration at all. Like, and conservatism is not pro worker.
It's also inherently populist because it is about serving real people rather than theories. I'm Stephen Harper, author of Right Here, Right Now Politics and Leadership in the Age of Disruption.
Okay, I'm just gonna pause it and let him. So before I log off, I just want to see what is going on down here. Yeah, people are genuinely impacted by Trump's victory because Trump's victory like meant that like their families got torn apart and stuff. Please keep 2020 politics out of the replies. What does that mean? That's hilarious. You posted okay. Donald Trump is 2020 politics, dude. What? 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 Okay, anyways. Canada I don't know anything about this man. I'm I'm not a fan of Trudeau from the limited amounts I've heard for him. He's not a leftist Trudeau. I'll tell you that much. Trudeau is pretty much like the personification of like the liberals who focus on like social issues and like not even in a necessarily substantive way, but they focus on social issues in like an appeasement sort of way instead of focusing on um on actual substantive changes for people in any way. But I still imagine that he's probably better than Harper here. I forgot his name. Anyways, thank you all for watching. Hopefully it was kind of interesting. It was a random video. I decided to react to, see what they had to say. So I hope you enjoyed and I hope you have a nice day.